carpet or doing interviews. You'll find her with celebrities and all the latest news. She's here, she's there, she's everywhere, she's always on the go. So sit back, relax and get ready, 'cause it's the Corey Taylor Talks Show.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Corey Taylor Talks. I am so honored and excited to have my guest today. He is part of just an amazing organization that is so needed, and it's horrible that this is needed, but I'm so happy that there's great people like him in this world that are doing what's needed to be done, and focus on our children. So we have Joseph Travers with Saved in America, and like I said, it's just amazing. So Joseph, why don't you explain what Saved in America actually is?
Oh, sure, Corey. So, if you'd like your audience to hear maybe a little history too,
Yeah,
which
absolutely.
kind of helps. So, back in in 2009, I'm a pastor, former police
Oh, wow.
officer in Los Angeles, and I worked with a lot of gangs and drugs. And I was looking for another ministry to segue in to, and I read an article about a young woman named Brittany Drexel, who is missing from upstate New York. And I thought to myself, because I knew there's what I call an evil triad of street gang members, prison gang members, and cartel members that took over while I was in policing the narcotic trafficking into the late 1980s into the year 2000. Well, they do now control all drug trafficking in this country, if not the world. But in this country, that's what's going on. So around 2008, they took over the sex trafficking trade here in this country, specifically child sex trafficking.
Yeah.
So knowing that, having that intelligence, when I heard about Brittany, I thought, oh my, what happened to Brittany? I hope this didn't happen to her.
Yeah.
This new wave of child sex trafficking that has quadrupled since, by the way,
Yeah.
2008. So then immediately following, I read an article about United States Navy SEALs going overseas and rescuing children. So I got a hold of these SEALs and I said, look, guys, I said, we need to do this here in our country. American children are being trafficked. This is the problem. So we got together an organization of 3 pillars. And the 3 pillars are, number 1, you never charge parents any money. Number 2, we only use volunteers. And number 3, our volunteer operators are all former special operators, mostly Navy SEALs, but we have Marine Recon, we have Army Special Ops, Air Force Special Ops. We even have a British SAS member and former, current, and retired police officers who all become licensed, insured private investigators. So we did our first operation December 2014. So you can see this is well planned. We're talking from the end of 2009 to 2014, 5 years of planning to get this right, the legal structures.
Wow.
Because one thing we have in this country, bad guys, gangsters, cartel members, and prison gang members have constitutional rights, which they don't have in other countries. So when we developed this, we went out and did our first recovery, a 14-year-old girl that was incidentally trafficked since the age of 11. And 11 is very interesting for your audience because, as you know, there's this new film out in Netflix about these young girls dancing in this hypersexual manner that are 11 years old. So from our first recovery up to date till actually last weekend was our last recovery, number 245 assisted recoveries over since 2009. And let me conclude really quick before we go into this further, because this history is very, very important. We have fundraisers in Las Vegas and San Diego. Of course, because of COVID, we haven't had one this year yet.
Right.
But our last fundraiser in San Diego, we invited Brittany Drexel's mother, because what happened about a year ago, the FBI found out what happened to Brittany. Gang members seduced her out of her hotel. She ran away with some of her girlfriends to go to South Carolina, Myrtle Beach for spring break. They coerced her out of her hotel room. They beat her, they gang raped her, and then they started selling her. And then when she escaped through the window, they tracked her down, stabbed her, shot her to death, and fed her to alligators.
Oh my God.
So we invited her mother, Brittany's mom, to come to our fundraiser, and she presented the first annual Saved in America Child Saved Not Sold Scholarship Award to one of our survivors of child sex trafficking.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing. And,
So
but what a.
Brittany's name can move on. Yeah.
Oh, no, go ahead. Go ahead.
I thought, and that people listening now, this is very serious.
Yeah.
This is a real serious conversation, because I can tell you right now, with the statistics from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, there's about 300 missing children right now as we talk in this country. And according to a study with the University of San Diego, Point Loma Nazarene University, and the Department of Justice a little over a year ago, that stated and proved what we already knew, that number one, it's the gang members involved with the prison gangs and the cartels, but number two, that a minimum of 30% of these missing kids are being trafficked, which, if you could do the math easy in your mind, right now as we speak, 100,000 young girls, minor children, are being trafficked in the United States.
Oh my God. It's such a terrible thing. And, I think a lot of it's tries to be swept under the rug, and a lot of people don't really want to pay attention to it because it is such a scary thing. And it's just so terrible. You don't even want to think it's really happening, and you want to think it's stories, but it is truly going on. And especially here in Vegas, I was born and raised here, and it's a great place, but there is a lot of sex trafficking. And as you kind of grow a wiser, it's a lot of children, unfortunately, and these children are either forced against their will or being brainwashed, and they're just stuck in these terrible situations, and they have no way out. So thank God for people like you and your organization. I mean, truly, I can't even thank you enough for doing this, because it's so needed. And it's terrible, but it's amazing that you guys are doing this. Absolutely amazing.
Your audience there in Nevada, by the way, and I'm going to tell you a true life story so your audience can understand how this happens. But your sheriff, Joe Lombardo, good friend of ours, we partner together. We've been out working with Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department several times. And I can tell you, Sheriff Joe Lombardo gets it. He's probably one of the most proactive sheriffs in this nation when it comes to prevention of child sex trafficking.
Yeah.
So your audience there, you call the sheriff's department over there and you say thank you. Yeah. Because they deserve it. They really work hard on this issue.
Yeah, and I know the Vice, the LVMPD Vice section and the abuse and neglect section and everything, they're really amazing, and they do try everything in their power, and they all work together to get it solved. So unfortunately, it's not something that will go away anytime soon, but it's due to people like you and to them and to everyone that's doing everything in their power to help. Hopefully one day it will be an end and this won't be happening anymore, and we really need to save the children that are in these predicaments. It's just terrible. It's absolutely terrible.
Yeah, so would you like me to go into that story, because it's from Nevada?
Oh yes, absolutely.
I think your audience would like to hear this.
Absolutely.
True story, and I'm not going to the last names and identifying, obviously, because the child is still a child. But a couple years ago, a young girl, 14 years old, from Sparks, Nevada, was coerced through the internet. Now, that's really important, especially with this COVID and the government not allowing the children to go to school, because they're on the internet all day, and that's where these predators are doing their coercion, and it's coercion. And when we get into, there's a 5-step process we call GROOM, GROOM, that tells about, from all our case studies, which we have 245 now, how do they do it? How do they get these young girls from all different walks of life to come out and for them to manipulate them in such a way? So we'll go over that. So anyway, this is what they did to her, this 14-year-old girl, to where mom goes to take her to school one morning, The window's open. She's gone. Where's my daughter? So she calls the police like any parent would. And the police say, well, what do you know about this, that, and the other thing? And of course, the mother doesn't really know what happened. So all of a sudden, she's supposed to get her, take her to school, and she's gone. Well, because the answers are here. The answer is in what every child has, a computer in their hand. And this 18th Street gang member from San Diego was enticing her through social networking, right, with flattery and all types of other things we'll talk about later, that she would be better off going with him. And it was a secret relationship. And it blossomed to the point where he drove from San Diego up to Sparks and met her after she snuck out of the house. He took her down to Mexico and started to traffic her in Mexico. And we worked with the Sparks Police Department in Nevada. They didn't know where to go. They called us and we said, yeah, we know exactly where to go. So we worked with mom, we worked with them. And in a few days, we figured out they were in Mexico. He took her to Mexico. And we did some undercover operations and we did some joint stuff with the federal government, San Diego PD and the federal police. We got her back and he was just sentenced to prison last week, by the way.
Good.
So he's going to prison. I think it's 9 years or 11 years or something like that. And she went rehab and everything. So that's about the big, broad picture. That's what we do. We help the parents, we assist the police, we assist in the recovery, although in 245 cases, we've never touched anyone. Because most of the time, they don't even know we're there. Like I said, we use a lot of undercover and surveillance. We use technology, social network investigation, drone technology. So we do everything, and then we take this package of information. And if your audience wants to look us up, look up Saved in America, HBO Vice. They went out with us and we took a 14-year-old girl out of a cartel house in San Diego on HBO Vice.
Wow.
And it talks about that journey. And that child, by the way, is through her rehab, and now we gave her a scholarship to go to beauty school to try to make her life whole again.
That's
So
awesome.
that's the true story. Now going into how does someone like that, a gangster, right? How do they lure these girls like that? Well, they use, like I said, a 5-step process we call groom. The first one, G, is they gain their trust. They identify a child. By the way, in the study I was telling you about, there's at least one gang recruiter in every public middle and high school in San Diego County, recruiting girls, looking for these girls to start this process with. And we think that's across the country. It's in San Diego like that. It's across the country. It's in Las Vegas like that. So, and what they do is they prey on the child who might be having some type of problem or something. Now, if you don't mind me asking, how old are you?
22.
22.
Yeah.
Do you remember when you were 14?
Yep.
There's problems when you're young. You exasperate something small because it's really big.
Yeah.
When you're that age, I mean, I kind of remember that, not like as good as well as you probably remember, but I kind of remember when you're 14 and 15, life's a problem.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to navigate this thing, right? You just now learn at 10 and 11 kind of the difference between right and wrong. You kind of get that now.
Right.
Now you got to figure out, what kind of personality do I have? Who am I? Right. And then you figure out who am I? How do I fit with all these other people? Right. So things can be traumatic, as a best friend kind of tells you to get lost.
Right.
That's a traumatic situation. A death in the family is traumatic. A divorce is traumatic. All these little things that they're the big things, but they could even be as simple as you get a fail in a grade. And you don't want to, upset your parents with it. So anyway, they prey on this child who's sitting there and they see they have a problem, and they'll come up and say, "Oh, you're so beautiful. How come you're not on TV?" All this flattery that you should be this, you should be that. And then they start this small relationship with them. And then they use this private, and they keep this communication private to gain your trust. And it's really tough when you're that age not to allow someone to flatter you.
Yeah.
It really is, because at 14, you're kind of awkward anyway,
Yeah.
trying to navigate this thing into adulthood. So once they do that, then they go R, require intoxication. So they get the trust, and then, hey, you want to drink a beer? You want to smoke a joint? And that's where they start: alcohol, marijuana, and from that they go to ecstasy, Xanax, because the goal is heroin. Because once you got a child on an opiate, the child will do anything for you because they need that opiate, because now they're addicted. So they go from require intoxication to the first O, operate from alienation of family and friends. And this is what they use. They use hip hop, rap music, because to keep you from, because a natural thing would be, well, a gangster is bad, right? But a hip hop, right, rap gangster is good. Not knowing they're probably one and the same, and most of them are. But they use that to so you don't danger when it's really in front of you. And then what they do is they try to get you in this gangster life, to think that's the better life. And they take and alienate your values and what you grew up with your parents, and say, your parents don't want the best for you. They don't want you to be happy. I want you to be happy. Your parents don't want you to enjoy life. They're restricting you from all these things that are fun, but I'm going to give you all the fun.
Yeah.
So now we're into intoxication, alienation of family, then open immorality. Now what used to be bad and you're embarrassed about is not embarrassing anymore. It's good. They flip morality upside down. And then the last step, M, it's always about the money.
Yeah.
It's money is all about love. If you love me, you will make me money.
Yeah.
You will bring me money, because that means that you love me. And that's the process.
Yeah.
And that's with every single child
Yeah.
that we've dealt with on this spectrum. And this is how they do it. And you know what's interesting? Of all these steps, except for the intoxication, are in that movie I was talking about for Netflix.
Yeah.
It's a perfect grooming for a child predator. Then Netflix made a grooming film.
Yeah. No, it's kind of amazing, and I'm glad you went over the steps and stuff too, because I think it's good, so parents have an idea what to look out for, and it like I said, it's just such a scary situation that there are so many children in this, and then children grow out of it too, and they're still stuck in it, and they're adults, and I think a lot of prostitution and stuff today for adults, a lot of them did start off as children, and it turns into their whole life, and they're just kids. They don't understand everything, and like you said, they really truly brainwash these kids, and it's a whole big step, and they're experts at it, and so these people just become victims the rest of their life, and it's a horrible situation. But like I said, thank God for people like you who are getting these kids out of there and getting them the help they really need, and hopefully, like I said, one day putting an end to this altogether.
Well, we're going to be out doing our thing in Las Vegas again, hopefully. But hey, can we shout this out? Nevada governor, open up your state. We need to get out there and help y'all out. These kids need to be in school so they're not picked off. The FBI just did a report, by the way, about kids all on the internet now, that the rate of this manipulation has increased, not decreased, because all the kids are home on computers.
Right.
So we're going to be out there in March if we can't because of COVID. We will be out there definitely in November, and then maybe some other time out there to do an operation. We usually stay there from 4 days to about 7. And we look for every missing child in the state of Nevada when we're out there working with our law enforcement partners.
Yes, well, thank you once again so much for doing this. And where can people go and find you guys and support you guys in any way? And the events you're coming to, hopefully, like you said, in March, how can people find out more about that?
Well, you can go to our website, savedinamerica.org, savedinamerica.org. And you're going to get all the information there. I think we already have the Las Vegas in March already set up at the Marriott there. But that might change. You know, like I said, we just don't know because of this pandemic.
Correct.
But you can see, go to media. We've been in all our operations. A lot of them are filmed. And the Las Vegas operation, which I sent you the link, I don't know if you have time to look at that. We actually put together one of our operations in Vegas, and it's up there on media, and you can see us driving around Las Vegas looking for certain children. Also on the website, it talks about who we are, the team. You can go online. We have volunteers. We have over 200 volunteers, reserves across the country.
Wow.
That are either retired or current law enforcement or special operators. So when we travel, we have other volunteers to help us across the country. Anything else you want to do, you can go on info@savedeadamerica.org, which is on the website. We have a hotline. The biggest thing I want your audience to know, if you are a parent whose child has run away or is missing, or if you know someone now or in the future where their child runs away, call us. We will help you. We won't charge you a dime, and we don't turn anyone away.
That's amazing. Thank you once again for doing that. And so you said you're coming in November to look in Vegas to actually look for every missing child here?
Yeah, it's March.
Oh, March. I'm sorry.
And if we can't do it by March of 2021, yeah, then we're going to put it, switch it to November. But if we have to take it from March to November, we're still going to come and do an off, but not do it as big, with the fundraiser. And last time the sheriff speak, and the former attorney general came to speak, and we had like a fundraiser big thing, so everybody can get involved in the whole community with our fundraiser. Bring the mobile command center up. Have you seen our mobile command center?
Yes, I did watch the video. I've obviously never seen it in person, but I have seen it in the video and everything. And like I said, it's just amazing everything you guys do.
Yeah, we take the mobile command center there, we bring it and we open it up for the community. We give tours, we show them all our equipment. We actually bring the books of every child we've assisted in recovering, all the books. So you can, it's confidential, but you can actually see. And then we'd share some of the stories with you, so you know what to look for, so your own child, of course, doesn't fall into this predicament, because it's growing fast. It's horrible. It's the new slavery of this century.
Yeah. And how many children was it again that you have recovered?
We've assisted police and parents in 245 recoveries.
That's just
since
amazing.
December 2014.
That's amazing. You guys should be so proud of that.
We had what's more precious in this life than someone's child? There's no amount of money.
No.
I mean, you can't put a value on that,
Right.
and that's why when I was reading this and I saw this, that these evil people, and they're evil, I'm telling you, and if your audience doesn't understand this, I can tell you right now, street gang members are evil.
Yeah.
I can tell you stories of murder, rape, robbery, pimping, pandering, that'll just, you just couldn't even imagine it. Very, very evil. Of course, I pray that they turn around, repent, and become good. Yeah. It's a rarity for a street gang member, because it's called blood in, blood out. Once they take that blood allegiance, the only way to get out of a gang is by death. Yeah. So it's a real hard thing. Yeah. But I hope I've helped it all. If you have time, I can go over our 6-step recovery process, how we do what we do, without giving out, the secret sauce on how we really, rescue the kids, so a bad person can't listen to this and figure out how we get them, But if you have time, I can go through that real quick.
Okay, yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, and that we call that, our acronym is the 6-step recovery process, RESCUE, RESCUE. And all this information, by the way, we're on our 4th edition of a textbook we wrote, Investigation of Missing and Exploited Children. So we even wrote a textbook. It's greatly referenced with all the studies in the back, and it goes point by point on how a child gets trafficked in what we do. But the first is record, and that's the initial parent contact. And we gather all the information from parents, family, friends, and we take that, we start a matrix and gather the intelligence. The second is examine. We examine the information we give it to our social networking investigator. And that's where the real magic happens. I call it magic, where he gets in there in the social networking and he does these things that no one could even imagine. And he figures out using a matrix, right? Going into hundreds or even thousands of people.
Wow.
And we figure out usually at that step who the bad guys are.
Yeah.
And then from there on summarize. So we give all this to a case manager and our law enforcement liaison, who happens to be my son Joshua, who's a deputy in Virginia,
awesome.
and he's the liaison with law enforcement. So what they do then is they put take this matrix, and now we start doing what we call the next step to coordinate, C. And that's with our intelligence investigators or operators. They actually go to confirm some of this information. Once we get that confirmed, then we do what we call unite. We send out our special operators. And that's when we go in for the long-term surveillance till we get eyes on the child. We call in law enforcement, extract the child, get the bad guy. And then we go to our last step, which is equalize. And equalize is we have attorneys on staff that volunteer, that once we do that, we help the parent with rehabilitation. We file civil suits against the bad guys.
Awesome.
And we hand the evidence over to law enforcement for prosecution.
That's amazing. And like I said, really, I can't even thank you enough. And I'm sure so many people are so grateful for you. And I mean, 245 children, I mean, that one child would be amazing, but 245 is just incredible. So you guys should be so, so proud of that. And I just know, hopefully the longer it goes on and the more attention you get and everything, that number will just grow and grow and grow until one day, hopefully there's no children. So no children left in sex trafficking. So thank you so much for doing that and for starting this and putting in so much time and energy and hard work, and all of you guys out there. I mean, it's really amazing. Absolutely incredible.
Well, thank you, Corey, for having us on, because there's nothing better or more fulfilling to get the word out, to have a parent who needs our help to call and say, help us, so we can go and help find their child.
Definitely. And once again, thank you so much. And please keep in contact. And when you come to Vegas and everything, we'd love to help you in any way we can. So hopefully, like you said, it'll be very, very soon. And hopefully this whole pandemic thing will be, if not completely over, very close to being over. And you can come out and do everything you need. So that'd be awesome.
Well, Corey, when we come out, you're coming to our mobile command center, so you can put it on your show. And then when we have our fundraiser at the Marriott, and come to that too, and you can put that on the show. So
yeah, I'd love to.
We're good.
Absolutely love to. Well, thank you so much, Joseph, for being on again. And once again, could you go over the website where people can go to?
Yes, savedinamerica.org, savedinamerica.org.
Awesome. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a great day, and I can't wait to see you soon.
You too. Many blessings.
Awesome. Thank you, you too. And thank you guys so much for watching. Remember, never give up, always believe, and you'll achieve. Thank you, and God bless.
Human sex trafficking is the fastest growing business in organized crime. And police departments across the country haven't been able to keep up. Many sex trafficking victims start out as runaways, but the police don't prioritize their cases because most runaways eventually come home. And when they don't, there isn't much that officers can do, unless the child had been seen being kidnapped. With the police on the sidelines, very few people are left to take up the search. But in San Diego, which has one of the highest sex trafficking rates in the country, a group of rogue volunteers is hunting for the missing on their own.
You're only about 20, 30 minutes away. You just look for my Hummer when you get in the Starbucks parking lot.
Joseph Travers runs Saved in America, a nonprofit network of 28 former Navy SEALs and police officers who now volunteer their time rescuing missing children at risk of sex trafficking. Many of them have asked that we protect their identities. They do this in addition to their day jobs.
Rick is undercover out in front of the house. So as soon as you guys are set up, if you see the girls run, go ahead and snatch her up. We got a power of attorney. And then we're gonna call the PD though, and they have the police report. It's gang infested and they got lookouts everywhere.
Today, they're helping the local police retrieve a 14-year-old girl named Lily.
Can you see the girl outside?
When Lily went missing, she was initially classified as a runaway. It's been almost a month without any active police investigation into her absence. When someone comes to Saved America, what stage are they at?
Mostly the parents are in a panic stage and they're waiting for something to happen. So now the family is at a standstill. They have to go find their child on their own, and most people don't know how to do that. So we fill that gap.
Joseph's team uses social media, research, and undercover techniques to find children's whereabouts.
So we're talking to the informant, and she's with him. Why don't we call the cops?
As soon as they have a location, they work with the parents and police to have the child picked up.
Can you come talk to the sergeant?
Lily's mother, Ruth, has come along for the search.
Yeah, hi, Sergeant. How you doing? Joseph Travers. How are you?
Mike.
This is Mom, Ruth. Her daughter's inside there.
Okay.
The 14-year-old.
Yeah.
So our guy's got a positive ID on her in the front yard, and then she went back in the house.
We are not going to be able to force entry on a runaway juvenile. I'm just telling you that right now.
Even
up
one
front.
who's trafficked.
Unfortunately, there's allegations of trafficking, but has there been crime cases taken? Has she come forward as a victim? If
Well,
that
no,
hasn't
she-
happened yet.
yeah,
And
she
even
hasn't.
if there was, that still isn't to a position where we're going to be allowed to kick a door down and go look for somebody that's not. Of course, that's not within the law. We cannot do that.
The police say they don't have enough probable cause to enter the home by force. Once they surround the house, a Saved in America volunteer spots Lily in the backyard and was able to reunite her with her mom. Lily asked that we conceal her identity.
Man, you guys, good job, man. Dude.
On January 30th, Ruth woke up to find Lily was missing. But the local police in her hometown in Utah concluded that Lily had run away and that there was nothing they could do since Lily had left on her own.
Grandma, so if she never runs across a cop, then you're telling me she's never going to be found? He goes, well, basically that's kind of how it is.
How long did it take Saved in America to find Lily?
2 days.
2 months after Lily was retrieved, Ruth headed to the office of Utah Congressman Chris Stewart, hoping that he could pressure law enforcement to treat runaway cases more seriously. The congressman wasn't sure where to start.
I basically was on my own. I said, why? Is my daughter not important? Why isn't anybody listening to me? I'm not gonna wait around until somebody comes and offers me help. I'm gonna go out there and try to find somebody that could help me.
Yeah, and if there's something we could do to stop this from happening to someone else, we want to do that, because not everyone's going to have a mom like you. I can tell you're discouraged. I'm sorry.
I am, because I really want things to change. I don't want nobody else to.
But I mean, don't forget you got her. You got her back.
I don't just want to be greedy and say, you know what, I got my daughter and that's all I matter. No, I want to try to help.
Why is it that when someone reports a runaway, it can be a long time before people will act on their case?
Unless it's an urgent situation, the police, unfortunately, because and I come out of that field, they don't have the resources. So if you have a missing child, a runaway, when law enforcement looks at it, it looks just like, well, she just left because she wanted to be with her boyfriend or whatever. So it doesn't appear to be a high priority situation.
Summer Stephen is San Diego County's Chief Deputy District Attorney and Chief of the Sex Crimes and Human Trafficking Division.
The studies tell us that we have about 5,000 victims of sex trafficking in San Diego County annually. We don't encounter that many. We prosecute, between us and the federal government, about 100 cases a year. But there are so many more victims.
Summer could not say how much funding the Sex Trafficking Task Force receives. The San Diego Police Department declined to participate in the story. Do you see a private group like Saved in America as being part of the larger community of resources that can be pooled for something like this? Do they help or ever harm an investigation that your team is already a part of?
They can be very helpful because victims sometimes don't trust police. You know, a private investigator doesn't have the police powers, and so long as they abide by their ethical duties of staying in their lane and cooperating and providing information to police, then we welcome them.
We're there for the parent as a resource. I think the greatest thing that could happen if Saved in America didn't have to exist.
The fear of having your children potentially kidnapped, stolen, or lured into a life of slavery, it's just pure hell. It's the stuff of nightmares.
Hey, Sean, I got a girl moving down 28th Northwest on 28th. I can't really make her out, but she's moving up the street right now and she looks kind of young.
Yeah, so I text you an image of a girl we just took a photo of. I think that's your daughter.
North on 28?
Yeah, you're heading in the right direction. I just saw you turn.
We're a group of former police detectives and Navy SEALs, other special operators that, for no charge, look for missing and exploited children or runaway children. This young lady, 15, we had to recover her twice. The parents had a party for her when she got out of rehab. One of the rescues we had was a young 15-year-old in Del Mar, California, that we chased for 3.5 months across this country and eventually recovered her in Jacksonville, Florida. She was training to be an Olympic star. This girl we took out of a gang house in Compton where they had her sold and ready to ship the next day. They take the girls and sell them to the different other gangs all over the country.
They do all of the work pro bono, and these guys work long hours, completely unpaid in addition to their day jobs, for the sole purpose of reuniting these children with families.
December 2014, we had our first recovery of a child, and that was a 14-year-old girl from Oceanside, California, where I live, and she was trafficked since the age of 11. Since that date, we've had 192 successful operations and recoveries. 192 cases out of 192.
So you've had a 100% success rate.
Correct. We got together and decided to become licensed, insured, private investigators, never take money, work for free for parents, and bring home or gather these children who are runaways and missing before the predator can get a hold of them.
Saved in America acts as the eyes and the ears, and they act as long arms to help law enforcement figure out where these girls are and bring them back.
They saw there was a void in the system as far as the ability for local police departments and parents who have concerns for their runaway children to find them.
My name's Kirby Hurrell. Listen, I'm a retired Master Chief from the U.S. Navy SEAL teams. I was in the SEAL teams for almost 38 years. I was in over 60 countries chasing bad guys and watching these kind of child travesties happening all over the world.
SEALs, special operators, former law enforcement. I mean, it just shows that this is their heart for service, right?
Unfortunately, here in Las Vegas, sex trafficking is an issue.
40% of all runaways become victims of child sex trafficking.
And it's a little bit higher issue than most places in the United States.
Currently, according to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, there's 300,000 missing children in the United States.
The difficult part is that you'll notice that in these lists, a good percentage of them are foster kids, so they don't have a parent.
60% of the missing children, of the 300,000 out there, are foster kids. So they don't have any parents. And it's very, very difficult, if any of you work with social workers, to get any information from them. Let's say you don't have a positive ID and then the police get there and the child has a phony ID and you don't have a parent to verify. Well, then it becomes, well, you say that's who she is and she says that's not who she is. So where do you go from there?
People rely on the police department to help them with their problems, which is what we do in totality, but We also have limited resources, and we have a lot of other issues we deal with besides sex trafficking. So
The child ends up being arrested, not the pimp, for prostitution, but you can't be charged with prostitution if you're a minor. So they find out the child is a minor, then they have to let them go.
They recently passed that law, I think it was last year, where if you're a minor and you're caught prostituting, it's not a crime.
And the pimps tell the kids this, so they say, well, just don't say anything to them, and they have to let you go, which they do. And guess who's out in the front of the police station? The pimp, picking them up and taking them back.
And I have 3 cases right now where I know exactly where they are, and I've packaged it up and I sent it to law enforcement. So now it's up to them to go and recover her and then try to get her help.
And a social working program has no effective way to go and find their own missing children.
if you could have a private organization come forward to assist you in that endeavor, we will embrace them, we will bring them on board, and we appreciate it.
The ability to bring them back to their families, to give them the opportunity to live the life that a child should be entitled to live in this world, is what they enable.
What happens, these kids get plied up with drugs. 14-year-old girl we took out of a cartel house in San Diego under the influence of heroin. Was gang raped and beat and prostituted for a week before we got her. And she wasn't even from California. She was taken from Utah. They can sell them over and over and over and over and over and over again and not have to keep buying new commodity. They just need to give them drugs for that once or twice period of time, and that's their only investment. So if they invest $20 to $50 to $100 and get their hair done once and their nails done once, and a little bit of drugs, and they make, every time they sell the girl, $100 bucks, and they sell her 6 to 8 times a day, you see the return, 7 days a week.
Trafficking is a multi-billion-dollar business. Every one of these kids that is trafficked and remains trafficked on an annual basis brings these guys, these corrupt individuals, $300,000 cash money.
As a father of 2 and the stepfather of 2 daughters, the fear of having your children potentially kidnapped, stolen, or lured into a life of slavery, it's just pure hell. It's the stuff of nightmares.
So we've been in communications with the mother, and we're trying to get more intel, but I think she's out traveling right now, so she's not in front of a computer. She's trying to use a phone. So we're trying to get as much intel as we can so that we want to do this op and find her. 17
girls missing since January 1st in the state of Nevada and 12 in Las Vegas. Right. Currently missing.
The other thing that we're trying to get her to do is fill out the actual application, which will give us even further detail and more intel about her social media and people she associated with before she left. Suri McCray description: height 5'1", weight 110 pounds, race Asian. Suri McCray facts: multiple arrests for prostitution, originally from San Jose, California. Her last arrest took place at 98 North 29th Street. Also provided the North Las Vegas Police Department information, hospital, and staging address.
We'll go over there, we'll scope out the area, find some good spots. We'll do a drive-through in the apartments over here, but if it's run by gangs or gangsters, they don't know you, and they're gonna start clicking as soon as we go rolling. Just keep your head on a swivel in case they come up from the front and the back. Just check, try to find out who you are.
If it looks like a bad situation, I'm pulling us out. I'm not gonna risk your life and my life, Hey Frank, can you see our location on the primary phone?
This is what we call a parent phone.
Okay.
It's, for some reason it was programmed this way, and it's the only phone that could see all the positions. What I'm doing is that I'm helping them. I have to see where they are, so I position them to get to where they can ID her, and then we get law enforcement to come in.
He's telling us to put the window down. Yeah.
You guys looking for someone?
No. We're actually meeting up with one of our buddies. Yeah. So we're good. Thanks, man.
Okay.
Some local dude. I don't know who he is. I think he works at the recycling place right here.
So Tosh was he was confronted, so he had to move his position. Gangster. Yeah.
We don't know who that guy is. He confronted us for a reason because we look suspicious to him. So we're gonna, if the girl is gonna come around, or he is a lookout for a pimp or whatever, she's not gonna come around. You know, we could potentially blow the whole thing.
Just be in the area. They're not doing it. They're just sitting there right now. I can't tell how many people are in the vehicle.
Hey Sean, I'm about 50 yards behind him. I'll let you know if anything pops up.
Therefore, I've already told them if he pops out of that car and he's got anything in his hand, I'm gonna book it out of here. Hey, you guys, try to grab the plate just in case. Right, I'm behind them. Las Vegas plate Lima.
Hey, Sean, I got a girl moving down 28th. I think she's either Hispanic or Asian. I can't really make her out, but she's moving up the street right now. She looks kind of young.
Did you say she was heading north on 28?
Yeah, you're heading in the right direction. I just saw you turn.
I can see her almost at the corner of the left-hand side touch. Now she's traveling eastbound on Stewart.
Did she look at
Yes, I text you an image of a girl we just took a photo of. I think that's your daughter that we're out in the field seeing.
Right. That's the best I can do.
Where was the last place you saw her? On Stewart?
Yeah, on Stewart.
Eastbound on Stewart?
So, yeah, coming toward Charleston.
Oh, she made a right turn?
No, she's coming down the street.
Okay,
Yeah.
on Stewart. You want to go do
you want to go back
check?
over there?
I'll go do a check. So he's sending the picture now for confirmation? Yeah. The detective didn't tell us when this picture is from. Did he?
I thought he said it was just the most recent picture of her.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
What, weeks?
I think it was sooner than that.
Yeah, really? Okay.
Yes, she said that her upper body is more small and petite. So that's why it didn't look like her.
Yeah,
that's how she described it.
It's hard to tell with the hat, but she's just about the right size.
She's about the right size.
Hey, let me go over there, get ice on, and then have him send me get me on the radio. Let's go check it out. We're gonna go back and we're gonna try to ID the young lady that was walking eastbound on Stewart. But again, you know, the power of makeup and the way the girls change their hair, it's difficult. One day they look one way, tomorrow they look the other. So
It's not her. Yeah. Yeah, she definitely doesn't think it's her. But her mother just like automatically knew it wasn't her.
Yeah,
so,
mom's
yeah. Yep.
We've got some good intel. We know this is where she's at, and then we come back, fight another day. You know what I mean? So.
Okay, now we got a general area.
Yep.
Okay. And she doesn't, you know, we're not burnt.
So if each of the operators can write up a DAR, daily activity report, on this, send it to Frank. Frank, if you can then incorporate it into the post brief with the two pictures that we have of the one girl that looks similar to, but the mother identified that it wasn't her daughter. And then we'll send that to the detective and send it to the case manager for the Dropbox. I think it went extremely well. Personally, the operation, we identified a girl that looked very similar. You know, when we put her pictures up and you compare her just to the photos that we had at the time, we had a very good similarity that could have been her.
Absolutely.
But yet, when Mom said that's not my daughter, and then we got the new pictures from Mom, of course, then it was a different story. But for purposes of our operation, you know, it looked like it came really close.
We mobilized it.
Before I was Attorney General, I mean, I knew generally that human trafficking was a problem, but until you hear the stories, you see the numbers, work alongside people like the sheriff here in Las Vegas, and understand just how widespread the epidemic is.
1 in 7 nationwide ends up in sex trafficking, correct? That's about 14%. In my jurisdiction, it's about 43%. My particular population of jurisdiction is about 1.6 million people. 3.3 million calls a year. Out of those calls, about 1.5 million of those are actual calls for service.
Well, law enforcement may not be able to do anything in the first 24 hours, 48 hours for a variety of reasons. They have found, in stories that I've read about, this organization. And this organization is able to just charge the hill in the private sector, get to work, try to track down this person.
Your program is a godsend. When I did the interview for Channel 5 back here, they said, so why are you supporting this organization, Sheriff? Because it's more resources. For us to be successful, we have to have resources.
Law enforcement can't do it all. Law enforcement does need partners. We do need help.
We need you. And the police department will embrace you with open arms, that collaborative partnership, in order for you to be successful, to help us be successful.
Thank you to this group for being willing to set up a chapter here. I certainly hope to help. I know the sheriff wants to help, and in any other way that we can help in this community, of course, the more resources we have, the more lives we can save.
Thank you for your support, Joe. Thank you for bringing your hearts into this matter and assisting us.
As we came in and sat down, by the way, Tosh, Navy SEAL Chief Tosh Carrington, looked around at all the tables and he said to me, he goes, Joseph, this looks like a wedding. And I said, Tosh, because it is a wedding. Saved in America in Las Vegas, Nevada.
What I can tell you is my police department will embrace you with open arms and provide all the help you can to be successful.
One day I got a phone call from a number I didn't recognize, and it was one of the girls in rehab that I had rescued. And she just said, I just want to say thank you to you and your team for getting me and rescuing me from where I was. And that, in and of itself, makes everything worth it.